And within 10 days, I had interviewed and got a job offer managing the women and children's at Woodland Healthcare. So I was there for about a year when then I took a job out here in the Sacramento area working for Sutter Health. Back in 2014, I wanted to, I'm a bona fide workaholic, and so I wanted to work for myself and thought, what industry can I get into that I would really enjoy? It was then that I got into the restaurant industry, and I did something so crazy as I found the location and then did the full build out. But I really do appreciate the experience that it gave me because I had to now apply for permits. I had to go through the whole process of what it was to get a business going. So having that experience really led me into understanding what our local businesses go through when they have to apply for permits or when they want to expand. And so one of the things that you'll come to know about me is I really do love our business owners, and I appreciate the work they do to make our communities better. I'm a big chamber supporter. Chambers to me are the heart of many communities, and so I always encourage residents and business owners to really get behind your Chamber of Commerce because they do quite a bit within the community. I'm also a big fan of transportation. Economic development is one of the big things that I like to look at, but the business community is really neat. I love our veterans, big public safety person. So 10 years ago, I opened up a restaurant in historic Folsom, and did that for several, I still own the restaurant today. Back in 2019, I got really interested in policies that affect businesses. And so I started going to city council meetings, and within a couple of years, I thought I could do that job. So I ran for the Folsom City Council, was on the council for 4 years when Sue had approached me in the summer of 23 about her retirement, and I was all in. I love policy making. It really, I think, has been something that I've always really enjoyed. So I was elected to the county a year ago. I won in the primary with 50% plus one, so it allowed me to truly spend the next 10 months studying, meeting different departments, getting to know county staff, and when I took office on January 7th, it really felt effortless because I had already been doing a lot of drill down, and when you get to talk and meet people, you really kind of step in, and it felt very effortless. And so now the past 2.5 months have been truly amazing. I knew that I would like the job because I like problems. I'm one of those individuals that like to look at problems from different angles, and let me tell you, the county's got a whole lot of problems, and so it is truly a job that I have enjoyed. Some of the big issues with the county, of course, you know that I think budget is something that every single municipality is going to endure over the next couple of years, but the county is actually in good shape. I think that, will there be struggles? Yes. At this point right now, we don't know what the federal government is going to do on some of the decisions that impact many of our departments. So I think everybody's sort of waiting on pins and needles to see what kind of decisions are going to be made that are going to impact the county. The county handles a lot of the behavioral health, the social services, many of those programs that depend on federal funding. So we'll see what happens. I think it's something that we all look at every day. What else can I tell you about it? So yeah, it's been really fantastic. Some of the things that still remain important to me, my big focus, and I'll share a little more in detail on homelessness later. But transportation, public safety, economic development are the things that really catch my attention when it comes to how can we make our county better. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Some of the things happening in the county. There's a Capitol Air Show coming up next weekend, and this year the Blue Angels are going to be attending. So if you're into that, it's going to be a fantastic show. I want to talk a little bit about Tiger is going to have an equipment rodeo. And that if you attend, they're going to allow you to actually get on some of the equipment supervised. and sort of play around with their equipment. And that's happening next Friday, the 28th, from 10 to 4 at the Tiger Aspen 6 property. And if you want more information, we can get that to you. I also want to talk about something that is really a hot topic throughout the whole county, and that's the sidewalk vending ordinance. So the county recently approved parameters that were put upon sidewalk vending. And for many of you, in Citrus Heights, when I drive around, I have seen what maybe pop-up kitchens. They're usually like, they have a red, what do you call these things? Yeah, tents. And so by law, we need to really support these, we'll call them, individuals who want to become entrepreneurs. And the reason why is the state of California, back in 2018, passed SB 946, which is Sidewalk Vending Act. And that what did is that there are certain things that our local authorities cannot do. And I'm just going to go over a few. We cannot require to operate within specific parts of the public right-of-way. We cannot require vendors to obtain permission from businesses or non-government entities. We cannot restrict vending from public parks unless there's a concession stand. And we cannot restrict the number of vendors unless it is for community health, safety, and welfare. Then in 2022, SB 972 was passed, which said they made a modification to 946 that basically said that a compact mobile food operation, which is specifically the sidewalk vending, we're trying to make it easier for vendors to obtain codes so that they can be compliant. And there's a cost now that they pay, and who will oversee it will be Environmental Health, which is the Department of Public Health. EMD, Environmental Management Department, they are they are a part of the county that can oversee every single part of the county. So as a city, as your city, the county doesn't come in and tell you what needs to be done or how to manage your city. But environmental health is one that really does oversee the county. And so some of the restrictions that were put on the sidewalk vending is that we put parameters that basically said no seating, no table, no chairs, no generators, no propane tanks. So it really brought the parameters of what we normally have been seeing to really more of a safety issue, due to fires, and then they need to follow certain guidelines to be able to have outdoor vending. And I think that was a really good thing. I think two things happen. One, it encourages individuals who want to, start businesses to actually have the ability to do that. But two, it also puts oversight from the environmental health on. These are predominantly food vending. Any questions so far on that? Yes, in the back.
I have a question about how this has been happening in other states, how that opens up people that are doing that to ICE intervention.
I have no idea about that, but I can tell you that what the county, the parameters that the county put in have no, ICE doesn't have anything to do with the permitting process for food vendors.
No, not for permitting, but once they're out there, that the ICE people would come in and try to take people away who have these.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I saw a hand over here.
On the Blue Angels account,
yes.
Do you know how much that's going to cost this year? That cost of that program just keeps going up and up and up, and then the cost of the park out there is...
Yeah, you know what? I actually looked at the website, and I can't. I don't know if 58 is right or not, but what you could do is call our office tomorrow, or if you can go online and check it out, and it'll let you know. Yeah. Yes, Tim.
So being a business owner, how do you feel about the street vendors potentially taking business away from you?
You know, when I first started seeing them pop up, my first thought was, you know, we get, everybody wants a piece of the pie when it comes to it, when you're a business owner. Everybody, you know, you're paying into so many different fees that oftentimes make it very difficult to run a business. Not only that, is there's, you know, like there are labor laws, and there are, you know, from the Department of, I still call it Department of Public Health, but it's Environmental Management Division. You know, they come into my restaurant every 3 months, and we always, you know, thank God that I and my team are, you know, we are, when it comes to cleanliness and when it comes to, you know, we are like top notch, and we're so into ensuring that the operations is always clean and you know, ready for the next day at the end of the day. So it is tough for our local restaurants that have, you know, actually, you know, brick and mortar locations, and they have to pay the rent. So, you know, is it fair? You know, probably not, but we want to encourage people to, you know, to hopefully get into a brick and mortar from these, you know, pop-up kitchens, because the restrictions are pretty tight. I mean, I looked at the restrictions and thought, there's no way that all of the ones that I have seen throughout the entire county, I haven't seen one that meets the guidelines. And, you know, EMD will be going out to these different pop-up kitchens, and one doing a really big education on what needs to be done. And then if they don't comply, then they get a fine. Then if they don't comply, they get another, you know, it'll be another fine. Yes?
So is this division also checking like safety? Like
That's their main concern.
food temperature,
That's, yeah.
all that
Yes,
stuff?
yeah.
So this hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen?
No, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if EMD's already done the education.
Oh, okay.
Because we passed the policy about, I want to say it was about a month ago.
Oh,
A month
okay.
ago-ish. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're already out doing the education piece,
Okay.
and then at some point working down towards, you know, enforcement.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm going to move on because I think there's a lot here, and I want to make sure that we get through everything. So I am going to now invite Ash, being your city manager, to come up and see if he wants to share anything that may be happening in Citrus Heights.
More hot topics?
Great, thanks Supervisor Rodriguez, and appreciate that intro there and all your kind words. And I'm going to share a few about you now. Since you've been in office here, had an opportunity to meet with you, and we covered a lot of ground and a lot of interest in Citrus Heights centric issues too, which really appreciated that. And as it relates to the follow-up on issues, I've had Tam email me where a constituent has reached out to her office, and she's looking to get follow-up through her staff on things that are happening here in the city. So definitely appreciate that, and she's definitely looking to follow up on those issues. So that's fantastic, and doing these meetings like this, you get to kind of hear from the community, and really like seeing that. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to participate and speak on behalf of the city on some updates that are going on here. One, I just want to say from a county coordination standpoint, city-county coordination, we go ahead and do quite a bit of coordination, and it's really been, I'd say, greatly enhanced over the course of the last year. My counterpart at the county, David Villanueva, he and I have instituted where we intentionally meet with our executive teams twice a year at minimum to go over mutual issues of interest. And some of the things that you were talking about earlier, like on this food vending thing, that's something that we talk about because we have shared boundaries. And if one jurisdiction is implementing some ordinance changes or code changes, it does have an effect on the other jurisdiction. So we're trying to be really coordinated on how we do these things and keep each other informed so we don't have one issue getting addressed in one jurisdiction just to pop up in another jurisdiction. So on the mobile food vending, we've been talking a lot about that, comparing our ordinances, seeing if we need to make some changes and adjustments, so we're not going to have a problem get solved somewhere to only have it occur somewhere else. And there has been some of these recent operations with EMD where actually our code enforcement team teamed up with Department of Health recently to do some operations and really kind of inform some of these pop-up vendors that are not only in the private spaces but also are occurring like in parking lots at nighttime. They look like a lot of fun. There's a lot of lights and activity going on, but sometimes they're short on like hand washing stations and some basic sanitation. So really kind of informing initially and then getting into some more enforcement measures, trying to ultimately get them to be a business that hopefully someday will be brick and mortar. And a member of the chamber, I see Sherry Merrick here as well. And so yeah, a lot of great coordination happening on that front. I also just want to recognize we have Director Huber here from our Economic Development and Community Engagement, Chella Cottrell from our Comm Center, one of our police services managers, and so great to see you both here tonight, along with Lieutenant Dunning. Appreciate that. But yeah, a lot of coordination on that, but just kind of what's happening in the city, some of the highlights. Lieutenant Dunning's here. We're bringing POP back. I don't know if you recently had a city manager message that went out. So our problem-oriented policing unit had it was discontinued for a number of years, 3 or 4 years. That's been brought back now, and Lieutenant Dunning's providing that leadership. Very excited to see where he takes that. We also have Felicia Taylor, who was a former POP officer who's working on our impact team, has come over to the POP unit, as well as Michael Machado, another officer that definitely has a heart for POP. I've been on a ride-along where he was our beat partner and saw him in action, was really impressed. But they've done a lot of work with our beautification crew, and that had the Helen Putnam Award. I don't think that came up last time. I think we hadn't had that at the last quarterly meeting that we had. But our city was recognized for our CARES campaign and our beautification crew, a lot of the work that we're doing around ensuring that we continue that vein of community pride by having a very clean and safe community. The CARES campaign, the report, maintain, chip in, that we've implemented here in the city, as well as with the beautification crew that is a 2-person crew that's dedicated to cleaning up the city, working with the police department every day to address things that really kind of bring down the community pride. That won the most prestigious award from the California League of Cities, the Helen Putnam Award. And so our team was recognized for that, and our council on their leadership on those efforts. So it was fantastic to receive that award, and so we're continuing. POP is a continuation of that effort that we've done with the beautification crew and the CARES campaign to really continue to drive that community pride here in Citrus Heights, making sure we have a clean and safe community with public safety being one of our core pillars. So very excited about that. We also test community sentiment on various issues. If you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm going to just ask you, is anyone aware of flash vote? Okay, great. Well, thank you if you have flash vote and you participate in that. But if you're not aware, I'd love to get you some information on flash vote. Flash vote is a way we can get statistical data on community sentiment. We run these flash vote surveys periodically, at least once a quarter, if not more. And we're actually going to be launching another one tomorrow, and so if you sign up tonight, you'll have the opportunity to take one tomorrow. We'll plug for that one. But the one we ran most recently was in the last couple of weeks. It was on community sentiment around code enforcement. And one of the things that we heard really loud and clear in that flash vote is that community really has a desire for us to continue to clean up the community. And because we've done a lot of effort on this CARES campaign around the public areas. So what I'll call if you're talking about a house, it's your sidewalk up to the doormat, and now it's some of these more private areas that some of the residents feel like are really bringing the community down with the way they're being upkept. And really a lot of the focus was on commercial corridors too, and from an economic development standpoint, it's a real challenge to lease commercial space or run a business if you've got somebody that's not caring for their property next door. So that sentiment came out, so we're going to be talking more about that at our upcoming strategic planning retreat. The one that's going to run tomorrow is kind of a year-over-year report that we're running, and it helps inform our strategic planning. So there's some key questions that we are able to kind of benchmark year-over-year metrics on to see how we're doing. I mean, I like keeping score. How else do you know if you're making improvements or if you have areas that you need to focus on? So that is going to be coming out tomorrow. Like I say, that's going to form our strategic planning retreat, and we'll see how it compares to last year's data. And then in addition to that, sign up for Flash Vote. I'm just trying to think, Megan, how do folks sign up for Flash Vote?
citrusheights.net/stay connected.
Okay, stay connected. So if you go to our website and you go to the Stay Connected link, you'll be able to sign up for Flash Vote. So that is something I'd really encourage you to do. It's really valuable data, and it provides a good opportunity to inform things like the strategic planning retreat that we're going to have on March 26th. It's an all-day retreat that our city council holds with the executive team, and that's where we kind of chart the course for the next year. We have the last strategic planning retreat, we did the 3-year goals that are adopted every 3 years, and then these strategic planning retreats are where we review what the work plan is ahead, are able to kind of put areas of focus in to help us advance on those 3-year goals. And so that is an open public meeting. Certainly the public's welcome to join. It'll be here at City Hall starting at 8:30 on Wednesday, March 26th. So we will take all of the work that's done at that strategic planning retreat, we put that into strategic objectives that are then brought forward at the next regular city council meeting, and those are adopted by way of resolution. And like I say, that charts the course for us over the next year on how we're going to make advancements on those goals. So mark your calendar on that if you'd be interested in attending. I did talk to a couple of folks that I know are sending me some information around that, which I appreciate, to help inform some things that are on the community's minds as we get into strategic planning. And of course, we'll have that Flash Vote data.
For those who can attend and I'll be out of town, will that be posted on the website for later?
It sure will. What we do on the strategic planning retreat is we have a packet that we prepare. So it'll be the memorandum associated with the packet, as well as all the draft objectives, as well as the prior year's objectives. It's a full layout of what we're going to be talking about the retreat. Now the retreat is more of a free-flowing meeting. It's not, here at the dais, it's more of a free-flowing. So that's not a recorded meeting. It's one that you would need to attend in person if you wanted to. But all the materials will be prepared, and then at the next regular meeting, we will have an item on the calendar where a staff report associated with that, as well as all the objectives for sure. And that will be a televised meeting, so the second meeting. Also, some folks are probably wondering about Sunrise tomorrow and what's the status of the specific plan amendment there. The developer that's proposing the specific plan amendment has twice requested a postponement when we previously advertised those meetings, and so we granted those. He and his team need to get us all the materials by Monday of next week for us to publicize an upcoming meeting, but I have a lot of confidence that it will be on the second meeting in April, which I don't want to get wrong if I'm about to announce it. That would be April 23rd. So we're looking at April 23rd. Once it's confirmed next week, we will put a public announcement out. That it's tentative right now. I expect it will happen on April 23rd, but that's something, if you're pencil that in on your calendar, and you'll be able to ink it in real soon when we make a public announcement on that meeting date.
And the news that we're talking about, some communities putting in rules not allowing people to have their boats or their trailers in their driveway. What's Citrus Heights' position on that?
We have our municipal codes that speak to how long like a trailer or an RV can be on a street. I believe that's 3 days, 72 hours that it can be on the street. Otherwise, it needs to be parked on private property.
So I'm talking about being parked on private property, not allowing people.
I would need to look at our code and specifics on that. I could definitely get that information back to you, though. Yeah, absolutely.
Your friend, a lot of people are concerned about it.
About, when you say concern, I'm curious about what you speak to on that.
I have a trailer, and I parked it properly on my yard, in my property, and not being able to park there would be very economic needs for it.
Okay.
And a lot of people, I think, that's why they move to Citrus Heights, because you can't buy a house, then you buy a boat.
There you go. Yeah, well, I'll make sure to get that information to you. And we're going to be, as we look at, if we have any kind of changes to the municipal code that would make something more stringent, it's going to be a public hearing, public notice, and we get that kind of feedback if we were ever to look at changing the code. Yeah, you bet. Mr. Shelton?
My property taxes go to the county. They're supposed to come to the city. Are the property taxes coming to Citrus Heights this summer?
The property tax payment will always be made to the county, but that gets broken up. And we get a check now, after 25 years of revenue neutrality, we get, for every dollar of property tax, we get 8.4 cents of that dollar that goes to the city. And so it's broken up.
8 cents of every dollar I send comes back, the county keeps the other 9.
Well, it's not just the county. I don't know if we have a budget and brief in here. We may not, but we have a budget and brief document on our website that really breaks down how each dollar is allocated on property tax. So certainly a large share goes to county. County is responsible for health and human services, as well as a number of other key programs that really aren't the city's responsibility. And so that's one of the things, I mean, we have our policing, we have all of our city services, but like on this big homelessness issue, health and human services are provided through the county. And so they do get a large chunk of that, but there's also Sacramento Fire. I want to say they get probably 20 cents, if I'm going off memory. Los Rios. So a number of other different entities get part of that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, you bet. Any other questions?
Where does the money for the road repair come from?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up road repair. I knew I was deficient on something. So road repair is something that we've been really making a lot of progress on. You may say, yeah, right, I'm not seeing it fast enough. And I get that. But we do have a 3-year pavement preservation plan that has really enhanced the way we're doing roads. The old model from years ago was resulting in about 2 lane miles per year of resurfaced roadways. The new model that's being implemented is going to 52 lane miles a year. So I don't remember what the exact percentage increase is, but it's massive compared to the way we used to do it. And so I'm very excited about that plan. We have a number of different roadway projects that are underway. We have not only our funding that comes through like Measure A, gas tax, things of that nature, the funds that are specifically designated for roadways and infrastructure improvements, but our city council has, in any city budget is a statement of your priorities, and so the city council has also allocated $4 million per year in addition to all those other funds that is coming from the general fund. And you don't often see that in cities where general fund monies are going to be spent on roadways, but it's certainly a priority of our city council, it's a priority of our teams, and that's why you're seeing going from 2 to 52. We have Dewey that's being addressed this spring. You've seen a lot of work underway over there. We also, for the first time since before incorporation, Sunrise Boulevard will be being resurfaced from Madison to Greenback. We're also looking to continue the phase work that we've had on San Juan. The next phase that's already allocated and funded will go from where it currently stopped off at Chestline to Spicer, and then we're working to allocate funding for we'll see with the federal budget, but it looked like it made it through budget committee initially to actually bring some funding to the city that would take us all the way to Greenback on San Juan too. But we're keeping on some of those major corridors as well.
Ash, can you talk about what paving season is? Why is there a paving season?
Yeah, well, paving, you have to be 50 degrees and rising in order to pave. That's why you're not seeing a bunch of paving happening right now. In the wintertime, it's like using cut patch, which is cold patch, and those are the potholes that get filled, and you say, gosh, it's a pothole again. If you're doing a real repair on a pothole, you have to have a paving plant open where they can actually cut the section out and then, use a hot patch, and that's a much more superior patch. But in order for us to pave roadways, it has to be 50 degrees and rising, and we're just not there yet. We are almost there, and so you will see this spring and summer, we'll be taking advantage of that paving season.
Quick question for both of you regarding homelessness, head counts. Sometimes in reports that we see, the head counts don't seem to vary very much, but the question truly is, when you drill down, are they the same people all the time? Because if the numbers don't vary very much, a lot of people I know that read these reports think they're the exact same people and have been for 5 years now. Any comment on this?
You can talk about city council position,
Sure.
then I'm going to spend more talking about the road issue.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
sorry, you can wait.
Oh, no, we're just trying to coordinate on how we answer the question, so it's a good question. I'm going to talk about the Citrus Heights centric part of it, and Supervisor
You're
Rodriguez.
just trying to get your story straight.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah, there you go. But ultimately, there's a couple of different ways that our unhoused population is counted here in the city. One is that's called a point-in-time count, where it's one night, one count, one methodology. It's run through mostly volunteers, and so you'll hear that point-in-time count will be talked about in the paper, and that is one where our numbers in the last count had gone down, compared to prior years. We also run our own count through the police department, which is more of a 2-week count method.
This year's 3, but yeah.
3 weeks, okay, it's this year's 3, and then that's probably just getting ready to wrap up, isn't it?
Today's the last day.
Okay, today's the last day. So what we do with our police department is we work over a 3-week period, and the entire team, not only our specialty units that are focusing like our impact or pop, but also our patrol officers, that it's a concerted effort to make contact with our homeless population, try to get some information from them, understand how long they've been in the city, to get a much better understanding of the transient population and how many may have originated from Citrus Heights, so on and so forth. So we're going to be able to report that information out at the strategic planning retreat to the city council, and we'll be able to look and compare some of that from the year before to see some of those things, like how long you've been here, are you new to the city or not. So.
Are there any other questions for Ash before and then I'll go into the county.
I got one from one of my bosses here. I want to make sure I get that. So.
Thank you, Ash. Can you tell us more about C-Click Fix and how we can report things?
Thank you. I didn't look at my notes, but I did have that one on there. So, we talked about the CARES campaign with report, maintain, chip in. Reporting is the key function. We have an app called C-Click Fix. And if you haven't used it, I really encourage you to try it. It's easy. You can go, whatever your phone is, you get it, a free app, C-Click Fix. And once you have that on your phone, it's so easy. If you see an issue, something that bothers you, it could be an abandoned shopping cart, you name it, it's on there. You take a picture, it'll mark your location, you just confirm the location, there's some drop-down menus, and within a minute, you've got your item reported. You get a confirming email back that your item's been reported, and then you get a conclusionary email once it's complete. So that is a big way that we're able to address a lot of the issues here in the city. So we only have so many eyes from a staff perspective, but if everybody else is able to participate, it's very helpful.
Yeah, Ash, could you spell that for us?
It's S-E-E, and then click, C-L-I-C-K, and then fix, F-I-X. Yeah, I was going to I have to really put myself on the spot spelling. I'm sorry, I missed you earlier.
Could I ask a real quick question back about road repair?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, maybe it was a year and a half ago, reading that there was a new plan about how to repair roads. Some would be more towards major roads, but then some would be towards smaller roads. And I'm asking because Primrose, over by where we are, goes right past the school, and that has not been repaired in 3 years. And it just keeps getting worse and worse, and they fill it in, but it doesn't work. So I'm just wondering, are you still using that model for having road repair work done?
So one of the things we look at, everything was being done by called an annual pavement index or average pavement index, and that would get where all your money went to your worst road. Okay, well that sounds like it may make sense, but what you end up doing is you lose all your other roads while you're spending all your money on your worst roads.
Right.
So Primrose may be on that 3-year pavement preservation plan. If it's not, we can certainly talk about when we think it would be, but basically the way we go about it now is you're trying to preserve your roads that are in good or decent condition and extend those. That ultimately brings up your index, and then you're also able to kind of address those roads that are in poor condition, but you're doing a kind of a wider aperture of how you're handling those roads. But we can get some more detail to you on Primrose in particular.
Right, because it's a busy school.
You know, no, there's a lot of road needs out there, but it may be on there. If it's not, we can find out when it likely would be.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
I have a question,
Sure.
but it's going to take a little bit of context so you fully understand the question. So I'm a state worker, and so is my wife. And starting March 2020 until June 2024, we were fully working from home. And then beginning June 2024, we started going in 2 days a week. Now, recently, I don't know if you've heard, Governor Newsom has an executive order for state workers to work in the office 4 days a week, minimum 4 days a week. And if you've seen in the news in the past, Mayor Steinberg was pro this, McCarthy now is pro, and these businesses in downtown Sacramento think this is good for us. So what happens is we pay a lot more for our gas now to commute. We pay for parking. So between my wife and I, it's a minimum $350 a month for that. So in the year, about $4,000. That's just the parking and the gas costs, not to take into daycare. So I do want you to understand that money is now sucked out of the Citrus Heights community.
That's right.
I no longer have that money to spend in the restaurants here or the entertainment, you know. All of that money is sucked out here, and it's no longer here. That's me, just one family. I don't know how many state workers there are in Citrus Heights. It's also worse for everyone who has to commute. You know, some people can't work from home. If you work construction, if you're a server at a restaurant, you can't do it. There's much more traffic on the road.
Yeah.
And it takes up a lot more of my time. My kids are in Citrus Heights Little League, and I coached there last year. I was on the board of directors. I might not be able to do that anymore. So I'm gone from this event, this community event. So I want to know, what is your stance on this? Like, especially, you know, you've got downtown mayor saying, I'm for this, the governor saying we need this. But it is sucking money out of the businesses here. And you know that saying of trickle-down economics. I don't necessarily know if that works when you make tax cuts for the very rich, but it certainly works when I'm not spending my money at the business and others aren't spending their money. Maybe they have to lay someone off, and then it snowballs. So I wonder, what is your stance on this, and are you able to voice your message to it?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I would love to be able to have your money here in this community, no doubt. And I know that that's going to be a lot of change for a lot of families. We have not been engaged in that discussion or asked really our take on it, if you will. The state hasn't done that kind of outreach to cities or communities on that, so we didn't have a voice in that. But I'd say that is something that we're gonna see how that goes, and then certainly if our city council wants to talk a little bit more about that, with me in the future, then we'll see where that discussion goes. So I know that we have them here in the audience tonight if they choose to talk about that in the future. But I appreciate you sharing your perspectives on that.
Thank you. These next two.
Okay, we've got our last couple of questions here. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, okay. So I just recently moved to Citrus Heights, and the Sacramento Business Journal actually covered some research in an article on just because people are going back to work downtown. I worked for the state, I retired from the state of California. And people are not, they're concerned about their income, they're concerned about a lot of things. They're not going to be spending money. Are they really going to be spending money when they go back to work downtown? I mean, that is a key issue, and thank you for articulating how it affects the local community here and the local economic here, because they're not so sure it's people are going to spend money just because they're going back to work downtown.
Yeah, I will say that just from a local control perspective, from the city perspective, we would love for the state and state legislatures in general to ask us more about what we think as a city on when they're going to pass a law or they're going to do a new policy. Unfortunately, we don't get much of that, and decisions get made that and orders get implemented before there's any outreach to jurisdictions. It's something we ask for and we lobby a lot for, but I appreciate you sharing those perspectives, and we wish that there was more engagement, and we do certainly share our opinion and our take on statewide issues here in Citrus Heights, but unfortunately the engagement leaves something to be desired oftentimes. Mr. Shelton?
What they announced on the radio today, you can't believe on the radio what they said is true. But if you're more than 50 miles away, you don't have to go back to the office. So, but maybe there's some
50 miles is long.
downtown Sacramento up here is 35 miles. If you live on the northeast city, part of the city, that's another 8. You're close to 50 miles, and maybe you can get dispensation from them if you're 50 miles away. The other thing is what you do in your job. Can you do your job very effectively at home, or do you need to interact with other workers in the environment? The thing is, the interaction is what you miss when you work at home. Because in my engineering career, I always worked at home, but I didn't need anything to do with the office because I was all by myself. I did my own work. If that's your case, you've got a good application to give them to give you a special consideration. So think how you can work with what they say and not just attack them. Work with them because they will be flexible. And if they aren't, then that's a whole other thing. That's why we've got to vote for the people who don't do what we want. We vote them out by not voting for them. But yet we go back and vote for the same people to do the same stupid things, and then we complain about it.
Well, I can tell you, there are a lot of elected officials in here straight from the people tonight. So kudos to all of you. And I do want to make sure that I'm respectful of your time, Supervisor Rodriguez, and I want to respectful.
So what I did is I took the questions from the end, because you guys were asking so many really good questions that I thought that was a great opportunity to have Ash answer some questions. And if we have a couple minutes at the end, we'll take more questions. Did you want to?
For you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not for Ash.
Okay, so let me just finish up here. I want to, and I'll go through this really fast. We have commissions at the county, just like you have commissions here with the city of Citrus Heights. And if you are interested in serving the county, there are over 40 commissions. I mean, if you are someone that is interested in cemeteries, we have a cemetery commission. And it's about improving and making things better. So there's arts, there are so many other different types of commissions. And you can contact our office and we'll get you connected to the vacancies at the county. Homelessness. Let's talk about homelessness. So homelessness is something that I am very, very passionate and very engaged in. Last year, I did a lot of studying about how processes are happening at the county. When I got elected in January, that became my #1 focus because that was one of the promises that I made. And I don't make promises, but I did promise that I would delve down into homelessness and look at what is happening and what can we do as a county to really change the way that things are. So as I continue to study and I continue to delve down, there's no question that it's a very broken system. And I'm going to give you an example of my perspective as a Folsom City Council member trying to address some of the issues. In April of 2023, it was the year that I was mayor, we had about 20 homeless individuals during that time. That's very low. It was manageable. I mean, it was let's just say hypothetically maybe been 30 or 40, still very low. In April of 23, we started seeing a major influx coming into the city. My restaurant is in the historic district, so I was able to see that there were new faces, many with mental health conditions. It was very apparent that the influx that was happening was very apparent. So at the time, I asked our city manager, Elaine Anderson, to set up a meeting with the county because I didn't understand what was happening. Why are we all of a sudden seeing new faces that are impacting? We don't have resources. We didn't have resources at the time. And so we set up a meeting. We talked about what could be going on. Like, what is happening? Why all of a sudden are new faces happening? So the county at the time couldn't explain the influx that was happening. So time goes on, about 4 or 5 months, and all of a sudden I learned that the city of Sacramento had created an incident management team. And what the team has said is to go educate individuals who are homeless, educate them on the potential to get into housing, the potential to get into services or programs. And they would give people a certain time frame, and then they would do massive cleanups. Now, if you remember the time frame, this is now a little post-COVID, so X Street downtown, and as a restaurant owner, I would have to go downtown, so I knew what I was talking about when I started seeing like areas that were just had heavy tent living quarters to Richards Boulevard, where I would get off when I would go to Restaurant Depot. And what the city of Sacramento did is they created this team that went in and did cleanups. So at times they would, 200 to 400 people would get would get removed, even though they had done the educating work. We're going to come in, we're going to do the cleanup, and then the cleanup started happening. So what do people do? People now are looking for new areas to live in. We saw the impact with the city of Folsom. And so now into 2024, you begin to see that, wow, it's so broken. Like, people don't talk to each other. As a council member from the city of Folsom, there is a homeless council that you get information about what is happening at the county. You get information about the nonprofit that oversees the continuum of care. You can go and look for information about housing. You can look for information about how the county's handling it, and then of course your own city. So to me, one of the biggest eye-opening things that I saw immediately in January was that there's a lack of coordination between the cities within Sacramento and the county and with the county. That means that there is no coordinated effort to deal with the problem. So the city of Sacramento and the county have coordination, and they coordinate with Sacramento Steps Forward, which is the nonprofit that oversees a continuum of care, and then you have your Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency that deals with the housing side. But when it comes to Citrus Heights, Folsom, Rancho, Galt, and Ileton, they are not at the table to facilitate and make some of these decisions that are made, but yet they impact us. So I met with Kevin. I met with almost most city council members throughout the county, not just those in my district, but outside of my district, because what I'm looking to do is create a partnership or a collaboration or something to bring people together. At the very beginning of the year, I did let our city staff know that I'd like to have a state of homelessness where we can get data of the entire county. Doesn't matter in what city the services are from. I just want to see a big picture of what we have. And so I believe there's something set up for the month of May that the county and the city of Sacramento are going to coordinate. I did let them know that I think we have to invite representatives from all the cities, because unintended consequences are made when decisions are made and people that are impacted are not at the table. It's very similar to what what we were just talking about. And so when I do the numbers throughout the entire county, and hypothetically say there are 10,000, and then I count the number of shelters we have, and I count the number of potential permanent supportive housing, which are the most expensive type of housing. It is a housing that has all the wraparound services for individuals who may be suffering from behavioral health or addiction, and where they can have housing. It is the most expensive. And then when you look at very low affordable housing, which is the individuals that qualify for 30% of the average median income. And you look at the potential number of behavioral health beds for people who are having mental health crises. And when you look at those addiction recovery, the potential number of beds for those, something isn't adding up. And so now the question that, and I sent our county staff a bunch of questions, and really more on the educational. But the question is, are we ever going to get out of homelessness? Because when you look at the number of people we have and when you look at the services available, it just isn't adding up. So if that's the case, we need to start looking for potential opportunities to cut certain things. If they're, in my opinion, if you're a nonprofit and you work in homelessness, and you can't provide your outcomes, I think funding should be pulled back.
Absolutely.
I think that we need to start looking at homelessness in a manner of results. We need to start making decisions based on data. And so if data is not available, then that's a problem. Because we have so many smart people that work between all of the, between the city and the county. There are a lot of really smart people. And so I have spent, that's where a lot of my energy and time has gone. I have Kevin McCarty, the mayor of the city of Sacramento, and I have had 2 really good meetings where we sat down, and I am so appreciative that he is willing, he wants to do something. He wants to get something done. And I think that coming from the city of Sacramento mayor is a really big deal. I don't think he's one that talks the talk. What I like about him is that it's about a partnership. We have to go into this. In my opinion, if you're an elected official in Sacramento County, you're a part of this group that needs to be that needs to figure out the solutions of how we're going to be able to get what we need to get done. And mostly it's shelters, permanent supportive housing, mental health services, and those for addiction. And so I have been, I'm really excited about the potential of having a meeting in May with elected officials and individuals who are impacted. For example, the Sheriff's Department, we have probation. We have so many other entities that are a part of, that need to be at the table when it comes to how are we going to be able to move this problem forward, and then look at funding. Where is the money going? Why can't we provide more housing, and how do we make it happen? So it's a very, earlier I said I really love problems, but I really have enjoyed delving down into the issues of homelessness. And I think that as a county, we need to face the, I call it the elephant in the room, is, are there enough services? Because we keep saying, oh, well, we want to get people into services. And now my question is, do we have enough services for the people that we're asking, do we want to get them into services? And so it has been great. I have really, I have enjoyed drilling down, and this is just the beginning, and so there's a lot more coming down the pike.
Prop 36 implementation roundtable,
Yeah.
and the county mental health services director was there, and I asked, are you working with Sierra View Hospital? Because I know that they have several locations, and I have met with them through a different organization over the last few years, and I kept hearing that they have so many empty beds because they cannot get approved for Medi-Cal or Medicaid.
So I heard the same thing. And so, until I really understand that is, because I understand we have a shelter, I think somewhere off of Broadway, I think it is, and it's like there's, I don't know, 50 beds that are free, and so, but here we have people in the street, so there are many processes. Is the system broken? Yes, the system is broken. And I have a lot of faith in my 4 colleagues and I that we are going to continue to deal and face the hard parts of homelessness. And once you face the hard part, then you just start to work your way into finding solutions about how are we going to tackle this issue. I hear a lot about residency requirement. So if you're from Sacramento County, we help you, and if you're not, how do we get you the help you need that's from your county? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I am, it is the one issue that really has captured my attention, and I will anything that I can get that I can educate me on. I wish I could give you some data just overall, but I will bring that next time. We do have 1 minute left, and I just want to say that you guys have a wall, the Veterans Wall. That is, to me, very exciting for your city to have. I hope that, I mean, I understand that it was like something like 3 million, but he got half already, and so there's the other half, and so I hope that somehow I can be an assistant in making that happen. My late husband was a veteran, and he is buried at Sacramento Valley National Cemetery. So it's a beautiful place if you've never been there. But veterans are such a big part of many of our hearts, and so we want to see that. It would be an incredible economic driver for your city, and so I'm excited about that. I can stick around another 12 minutes if anybody wants to talk about anything, or if you need to leave, you can. But I can still answer questions that, yes.
Actually, why don't you go ahead because I've already asked.
Okay.
Right now, we just have Bradshaw and shelter for our county. And they are completely over.
Animal care?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are completely over capacity to the point where they are actually benching their animal control officers from going out in the field and capturing animals, leaving strays and stringing animals on the street. We have a very serious situation here in Super Tight. I'm sure you probably saw it in Folsom, because I know how bad Folsom is as well. It's nationwide, it's not just a local thing.
It is.
But I am an animal advocate here, and I've been trying to do what we can do in addressing ours. We need to make better changes.
Okay.
I think our highest.
And they were the ones who stipulated who was moving in.
Yes, yeah,
Originally, they
cooperative.
were telling us
Yeah.
there would be people out of the city of Citrus Heights
Yeah.
who needed this help. They could only tell us there was a few that could associate with the city of Citrus Heights.
Yeah.
So I want you to recognize how much power the county has.
Yeah.
You ask us to build affordable housing and housing for those who, are, mental issues or addictions or whatever, but we lost control.
Yeah, so it's not the county, it's the state. The state is what dictates what is needed from every single jurisdiction. But I'm pretty clear Hope Cooperative would have let you all know what is going to be needed. When Hope was building in the city of Folsom, we knew that out of the 24 units, 16 would be county related, and then the other 8 would be the city of Folsom. So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in there, but I'll tell you what you can do. You can email us, and we can do some more research on you when it comes to that. But yeah. All right. 1 more minute, and so I'm going to take a question from someone a question that will take 1 minute to answer. Yes.
Yes, you say that the services are out there. The people that you hire, whether or not who they've got, they have to choose who they want to help. The services are not there. You call 211, they tell you they can't help you. I've been out there, I've talked to